The Covid Irregularities Commission in Karnataka, led by Justice John D. Michael Cunha, has finally recommended criminal prosecution against former Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa and former Health Minister B. Sriramulu. The Commission's report highlights irregularities in procurement of PPE kits during their tenures and during the time of Covid. The investigation reveals that the state government purchased PPE kits from Chinese suppliers at an inflated price, resulting in an undue profit of 14 crore rupees to these suppliers, primarily based out of China and Hong Kong. Allegations suggest that the procurement process involved malicious intent and a price discrepancy that potentially violated the law. As a result, the Commission has called for prosecution under the Prevention of Corruption Act based on illegal and improper procurement practices that took place under Yediyurappa's administration in the state of Karnataka.
The report given by Justice Cunha, it's just based on assumptions and presumptions. Investigation cannot be carried out only based on assumptions and presumptions. There should be facts in place. The report clearly indicates, as per the report that has appeared in the newspapers, it clearly says, Michael Cunha clearly says, this might have helped BSY, Yediyurappa ji. This might have helped Bharatiya Janata Party. See, based on this, there cannot be any investigation. But anyway, since Sriramulu government is very serious and very anxious to carry forward the investigation, we accept their challenge. We do understand the position of Chief Minister Sriramulu. His position is becoming weak day by day, especially after ST Development Corporation scam, after Mysore Muda scam. Sriramulu is in deep trouble. Last week he faced a Lokayukta investigation also. Since Sriramulu, the Chief Minister of the state, is accused number one in Muda scam. Desperately he is acting like this hastily, and since by-election is in the round the corner, Sriramulu is aware of the fact that they are going to lose all the 3 assembly constituencies. Hence they are trying to threaten opposition party leaders. We don't care on this development.
ಈ ಬೆದರಿಕೆಗೆ ಯಡಿಯೂರಪ್ಪ ಯಾರನ್ನು ಬಗ್ಗಲ್ಲ ಜಗ್ಗಲ್ಲ. ಹಳೆಯದನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕವಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನ ಕೆದಕುವಂತ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ದಾರಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೇನೆ ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯನವರು ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಹೊರಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ ಯಾವುದೇ ಲಾಭ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಕುತಂತ್ರ ರಾಜಕಾರಣವನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲಿರುವಂಥ ಆರೋಪದಿಂದ ಮುಕ್ತರಾಗಿ ಹೊರಬಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹಾರೈಸ್ತೇನೆ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಯಾವುದು ಏನು ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಮಾಡಲಿ. ಅದನ್ನು ಎದುರಿಸುವಂಥ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಕಾನೂನು, ಕೋರ್ಟು, ಕಚೇರಿಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಸೋಲಿನ ಭಯದಿಂದ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾದವರು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಉಳಿದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸೋಲಿನ ಭಯ ಅವರು ಕಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
And it has now become a political slugfest. The Justice Cunha report clearly suggests that there seem to be irregularities in procurement of those PPE kits during the time of Yediyurappa and the BJP in the state of Karnataka. To talk more on the issue and to go to the bottom of what the entire controversy is, joining us on the show is Bhaskar Rao, BJP leader Karnataka. He's on the phone line with us. I want to first come to you, Mr. Rao, before I introduce the rest of the guests. What are you making of these allegations? I know your party is denying it. I know you are saying that it looks like, retired Justice Cunha does not have all facts with him, but this was an inquiry and it has indicted Yediyurappa.
Madam, this is only an inquiry report that has come over there. This is no investigation. And most important, what I want to tell you is that in the event of the government of the day has the responsibility to protect people. And the same thing happens at home also. When we have problems or when we are struck with a crisis over there, we use all our resources to save ourselves at that point of time. At that moment, you yourself same
Mr. Rao, we're not able to hear you clearly. Mr. Rao, we will try and get back to you. We're not able to hear you clearly right now, but let me quickly introduce other guests on the show. Also joining us is Satyaprakash, spokesperson for Karnataka Pradesh Congress Committee. Also with us is Professor Chambi Puranik. He's a political analyst. My colleague Vajula is joining us live on the show. Gentlemen, thank you very much, all of you, for taking time out. I want to come to you now, Mr. Prakash. You heard, what BJP is saying. It's saying that there was no investigation in place, although the committee has concluded that there was some sort of scam when it came to procurement of PPEs at a cost perhaps which was more than what was available in the market. That's charge number two. Charge number one. Charge number two is that these were procured directly from Chinese companies without any tenders being floated. Your quick reaction to that report first.
See, today, whatever Congress government accused erstwhile BJP government that it was a 40% sarkar has come true. So this BJP government during COVID purchased a lot of items, medical items at exorbitant prices. Justice Cunha, in his own report, has stated that the local suppliers were ready to give the same PPE kit at 500 rupees and 700 rupees. But what was the, why did the BJP government and especially the Health Minister Sriramulu and Yediyurappa not give some the orders to them? Second thing is, any order beyond a certain limit has to go through a tender. Where is the tender process? According to Section 7 and 11 of the Prevention of Corruption Act, it is very clear that, the prosecution will happen against former Chief Minister Yediyurappa and Mr. Sriramulu. This is just a tip of the iceberg, Shwetaji. There is nearly more than 4,000 or 5,000 crores of purchases that has happened. That means this whole scam is to the tune of 2,000 to 3,000 crores. Mr. Sudhakar also is involved in it. It is so harsh. They have looted in such an extent that a normal hand wash, during that time, they have bought it at, 4 times or 5 times the market price. The ventilators, they have bought it at exorbitant price. This is just a, tip of the iceberg. So what I want to tell is today, whatever Congress government has accused this BJP government of exorbitant corruption during their 4-year rule from 2019 to 2022 has come true. Now it is up to the courts to decide and put all these corrupt leaders back in jail.
All right.
The whole,
all right,
to an extent.
Satyaprakash, I know you've spoken, sir, but let me also quickly get in other guests. Professor Chambi Puranik, you heard what the BJP and the Congress party has to say. In your own, assessment, do you think these charges will stand in court? Clearly, there was no formal process or procedure followed when it came to procurement of these PPE kits. The charges are very strong.
Yeah, you see, looking at the kind of report that's given by, investigative report given by Justice Cunha. Justice Cunha is not an ordinary person, He's the same judge who has indicted and convicted Srimati Jayalalitha, the former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. And that has gone through the legal process and, the rest is known to everybody. And so in that context, I think there is kind of suspicion that was there, that in the purchase of PPE kits, the rates were, increased from 1 to 7%, like that. So 350 or so. Now it is sold for or purchased for 2,100. Something like that. The Justice Cunha report has come out with such allegations. And it has recommended kind of prosecution of both the health minister who is in charge and also about the chief minister, Mr. Yediyurappa by name. But coming in the context of the present kind of allegations or the cases or the crisis which the Congress party is facing, including the famous Moda scandal where Chief Minister himself appeared before Lokayukta and also Valmiki Nigama where the money was used
to you? Professor, is timing a suspect in your assessment? Because this comes at a time when the sitting chief minister is already facing serious charges.
But I know the public perception will consider this as a kind of a situation in which these things have been, presented to the public and all that. But, it will take, a long course, the legal process has to be done, a governor's permission has to be sought, and then the charges should be framed, and the SIT also will look into it. There are so many other legal procedures and all that. But coming at this time, as you said, Shweta, there is a possibility of trying to, corner the
Right.
leaders of the opposition, more so the former chief minister and health minister, who are actively canvassing the by-elections and all that. Apart from that, the case has to stand on the basis of facts and the evidence, not on the basis of surmises, which perhaps people consider that these are all politically made. Motivated, and the vendetta politics entered into it. So all these clouds are there. Still, the suspicion,
Absolutely.
the need of suspicion is also there, both on the government as well as on the former chief minister and health minister. So in that context, I think the public will not be in a position to know the exact truth unless the case is taken forward and all that. So
All right.
it is it's a kind of report which will say that when we are guilty or we are in the dock, you are also committed so many things. And it doesn't absolve both the ruling and the opposition parties from the kind of allegations of corruption, misuse, and the kind of scandals that have emerged also. So the people of
Absolutely.
Karnataka are really surprised and pained to see the one after another these cases are there. So
Absolutely.
which government
People
is,
of Karnataka, I think they have got more to lose. My colleague Vajula joining us. People in Karnataka, Vajula, are really caught between a rock and a hard place, come to think of it. So you have a sitting chief minister who's facing serious charges, and then you have the minister in opposition, or the leader of the opposition, who's also facing charges now. It's a very hard place for Kannadigas to really decide who is the better administrator.
Well, yes, Mr. Chambipuramik is also right. It is the sort of revenge politics that we are seeing here. You can call it revenge politics, or you can call it vendetta politics. But the Congress, on one hand, will come out and say that, yes, this is the sort of thing that we had promised before election. Also, it was a part of the manifesto where their entire campaign was on the basis of Pay CM campaign. Not just that, but even in the previous parliament session, cabinet session, they had also spoken about how COVID-related cases are something that has to be investigated, and it was a cabinet decision that came to this conclusion. But if you look at the timing of it, if you look at the chronology of it, you would see that the the Valmiki scam, the Muda scam, the Waqf scam, and in between you will have the BJP scams coming. So it's like a sandwich which the people of Karnataka are going through. But what the sentiment of the people can come here is that you call it a BJP government or you call it a Congress government. Everyone has had their hand dirty in corruption, and this is one of the indications that we see over here. If we look at Congress, there is BJP who alleges that there are close to 3 political scams that have taken place in their regime in the current government. But if we talk about the previous government, then you have the present government saying that we are investigating their scams where every contractor had to pay 40% and then you had to pay for your PPE kits and everything. So it is the form of vendetta politics that the people of Karnataka are seeing. And it is again on the basis of corruption, an issue that Karnataka has been suffering from, not just today, from the last 20 years. We've seen previous chief ministers also going to jail for corruption charges. And again, the only other big issue that we see in the state is corruption. And this vendetta politics that both of them are playing, on the eyes of the public, it is clear that both of them have their hand dirty in corruption.
All right, both sitting chief minister as well as the previous chief ministers dealing with some very serious charges. But sticking on to what's come out by the way of the Cunha report, Bhaskar Rao is back with us on the show. Mr. Rao, some serious charges here, and I want you to answer them one after the other. First, number one, was there a due process followed? And by process, I mean, was there at any point of time a tender floated? Was the government trying to look for an indigenous in-house PPE seller, somebody who could supply them with the same number of PPE kits without the exorbitant cost that the government had to pay by the way of fetching them from a Chinese company outside? Those are serious charges. Your answers to them, please. Mr. Rao? All right, I don't think we have Mr. Rao with us. Professor, I want to come back to you at this point because before Bhaskar Rao, when he first appeared, he said something which I think sticks on in the minds of people, and that is, it looks like the Cunha committee and the committee as a whole and the inquiry as a whole was not thoroughly perhaps conducted. There was no investigation followed. Do you think, is there any merit in that argument that there was no investigation, albeit that is not what a committee does? A committee does thoroughly investigate and then sends out a report.
No, taking into consideration the reputation Justice Cunha holds, I don't think this kind of allegation against Justice Cunha should be taken seriously also, because he's the person who has been dealt with very serious cases. This is a very small case which he has looked into it. But maybe there are procedural irregularities like not floating the tender and also calculating the loss for the exchequer and all that. Justice must have done some homework and all that. And otherwise, his reputation and also the kind of impartiality with which he has dealt with other cases also, I
Right.
think, we should not question that. But my point is the timing of it, and also, as Visual has said, my only worry is as a perception, the public of Karnataka, finding twiddledum and tweedledee. There is no difference between the two, the present government and the previous government. So
Right.
whom do you choose? So therefore, the question of suspecting or allegations or whatever the kind of things are, they're all mudslinging from the point of view of public. Public needs good governance. Whether the past government was guilty of such corruption or the present government, I mean, both of them are not bequeathed properly in the eyes of the public. So therefore, the governance has taken a beating. That kind of perception can emerge from this. Apart from
Absolutely.
that, it's a legal, long, drawn process.
It's a
I don't think
it's a long road
will,
ahead.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's going to be a long road ahead. But before I close this segment, I
Quicker.
also want to give one last question to Satyaprakash. I know you are wanting to speak, sir. But, my question to you at this point is direct, that Justice Cunha committee report came in October. The timing is a suspect that the report has now been leaked in public. It's out in the media. And this also comes at a time when the chief minister is facing serious charges. If in politics, perception is everything, it's not looking very good on your chief minister.
Shweta, the difference Mr. Puranik was telling, no, that earlier government also there are allegations. Now government also there are allegations. Regarding the allegations on Congress party, no commission has pointed fingers at Sriramulu that he is an accused. No, still the inquiries are on. The Lokayukta inquiry is on. The ED inquiry is on. But in the case of Yediyurappa, BJP and Sriramulu, the inquiry has investigated and come to one conclusion, and these guys are the culprits. Very clearly, there is a Justice Cunha who has a history. And if someone says there is no investigation, Bhaskar was saying there is no investigation, there is investigation. The commission has investigated into the case and found Mr. Yediyurappa and Sriramulu guilty of overrating and purchasing kits at 4 times more than what the Indian suppliers were ready to give. Why did they purchase from China without tender? Isn't it a sin? 14.21 crores out of a total this thing of 40 or 45 crores is nearly 30-35%. So this is what we have been accusing this government of 40% corruption. So this is the difference, Mr. Puranik, that regarding Sriramulu, there is no commission of inquiry which is there and which has indicted him. But in case of Yediyurappa, even in case of your previous governments, your Janardhan Reddy case, your iron ore scam, your everything, mining scam, you are indicted by the Lokayukta. Sriramulu is not indicted. So let us wait. This is a different case, that is a different case.
Okay.
Here clearly now Mr. Yediyurappa and Sriramulu has to be prosecuted and put behind bars for bringing, to 14.21 crores loss to the exchequer. And as earlier I have said, this is tip of the iceberg. They have looted to an extent of more than 2,000 to 3,000 crores.